We're not recording right now, are we?
I mean, we are, but this
Oh,
would be
okay.
cropped if we so desire. I mean, it's not exactly pure fucking gold up front.
Okay. You know me, I need like a little pod foreplay before we just dive right in.
Look, gonna hit the pod clit a bit and little pod ass play. Yes, we're good.
Did you okay, well do you wanna just start?
Really?
I need very little foreplay. I
That
just want to
was
know that you cared enough to try.
That was not extensive, and it was all narrated.
We could just leave all this in.
We should. We are. There's no better
It's
intro than
already
this. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's in, and we're done.
That was great.
Yeah. Thanks, I tried. Now, back to our daily married lives. Cool. Well,
so how was oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just the hey, what's up? We have to do intros. That's been screamed into my cerebellum at this point. It's Papa's Basement. I'm the host, John Papageorgiou. My co-host here, and for a long time until I am not giving her enough foreplay, is Mollie Heckerling.
Hello, I'm the Ed McMahon.
Yeah, and Johnny
Yeah,
routinely give Ed foreplay, and that's how they stayed together.
You can't have Ed going into the show dry.
Yeah. That was more of a Tim Allen laugh. I'm ready to admit that. But yeah. So this is the 23rd, Christmas Eve. An equally important holiday.
Yes.
And yeah, we've got some, I guess, Christmas shit to talk about, and Omicron is currently ravaging New York, and DC is not far behind, and
I love you. I mean, ravaging just makes it sound like such a sexual thing, and DC not being far behind. I don't know why I'm in this realm today. I am so sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, you've been sitting on the washing machine for an hour.
How else do you spend Christmas Eve?
I don't. Yeah, if you're Jewish, you eat Chinese food and sit on various vibrating objects, be they outboard motors or motorcycles,
electric generators.
Yeah.
Besides that, you just get a jump on the holiday anxiety, I guess.
Yeah. What are you guys up to? So I am back home again. I feel paradise has been lost.
Uh-huh.
I am now out of my friend's amazing pad right outside DC and back in my childhood room, which is somehow smaller when you've lived an actual life and realized what you want and been forced back into it.
Isn't it funny how that works, where it's like you leave and then you come back and you feel like a giant, and the furniture is all the same size. It's not even like little kid furniture, and somehow the ceilings feel lower.
I don't know if this is also part of the Jerry Seinfeld bit, but I do feel I can end to end with my arms spread. You know what I mean? Just touch the walls.
Right.
It's bad. It's not good. I've come to enjoy peace and quiet a lot. And yeah.
You mean you didn't miss your childhood Claudia Schiffer posters? Or
look, it was Linda Evangelista on a Ferrari. Get it straight. And then there was an F-17 combat plane that I apparently jerked off to as well. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, something about the thrusters, maybe?
Yeah. No, I love it that I've been able to reframe this as before this moment, I was out of the house. A certain someone that I do improv with, who might have been the crux of a prior episode that you and I did connect those dots. She was just like, "Oh, you're back for the moment, so that'll inspire you to move out." And I'm like, "Yep, this is the first time I've been back. It wasn't the state of things for the majority of the past 12 years. Nope, this is week 1 of tail between my legsishness, and I'll be right back out of here." Yeah.
Yeah, you can turn this around in a flash.
Exactly.
I'm sure.
The aberration is this, not the month I spent out of the house. It was this, the coming back. So
That's also kind of a bitchy thing to say, though, because it's like, ah, yes, it's only through sheer lack of motivation that I have been in this situation.
I,
Not just
I,
an economic disaster that hit our entire generation, followed by a worldwide pandemic.
oh
Um,
God, yeah. This is why your dude's a lucky dude, Molly, because that is all very true. Yeah. No, I mean, in my case, I just have spent the majority of the last decade plus hoarding, and really a lot of it has been
okay.
this weird no, she's right to call me just a lazy piece of shit. She's
Okay.
in this one situation.
Okay, she just knows you better.
Yeah, she does. You'll get there in time. But you'll come to know. But yeah, I mean, in the span of like a week, I was looking to rent in my friend's building, and then it was just like, you know what? I have a ton of money socked away because I am a poor person's idea of a rich person. Like just someone who works a lot and puts all the money into like a little shoebox under their bed
Right.
and does nothing investment wise. And it's like, this is one thing I can do with that. Like, I can put money down and I can be my own asshole landlord in a condo, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think I do want to go that route.
So do that.
I think I will.
I'm also not the right person to talk to about this shit because I do live in my mother's house and I'm a lazy piece of shit who has spent like the past 10 years hoarding and building puppets and being a loser. So,
Yeah, but
um,
to be fair, you live in Brooklyn. Like, your mom's
I
house
don't
is
live
like,
in Brooklyn.
you're not in Brooklyn?
No,
Where are you guys?
I'm on the Upper West Side,
Oh God, so
like
it's even
total
more
Jewville.
expensive. Yeah. So that how like you can't just like grab something nearby at all. Like that would
No.
require generational wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's a reason I don't really debate New York. Like, we've been over this because you and we would talk every so often, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is it. New York's happening. And then like UCB died.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly I was like, I'm not doing stand up right now, and I'm going to New York to live in a shitbox. Why exactly? And
Right. Yeah. I'm a total piece of shit
mhm,
with tons of privilege. So
mhm.
let's just get that out of the way right now. I'm very sorry.
It's
Um,
actually how you need to introduce yourself
it
every
is.
episode here on
I
out.
feel like I should put that in my bio, like child
Yeah,
of privilege, total piece of
piece of
shit, very
shit.
sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
lives in Juville.
but that's the thing about New York City is like unless you come from generational wealth or somehow luck. I mean, I don't or have like roommates and stuff, which is fine. But you're still like, yeah, you're paying a shit ton of money to live in a shoebox.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm here because my mom bought this building ages ago for the express purpose of the entire family being here because she wanted to like recreate the way she grew up in the Lower East Side with all the families being in one building and shit. And
Hmm.
now that we're basically going through like our generation's version of the Great Depression, it feels very apropos. But like otherwise, New York is kind of a prison economically, where like you are confined to these really small spaces that are at like astronomically expensive, and you sort of get stuck in these jobs that have a definite shelf life, but like earn you enough money at the time. I don't know. It's weird. It's very much like the My Dinner with Andre thing where it's like, the prisoners of the concentration camp who built the camp and take pride in that in a
Hmm.
weird way. This is now I've pivoted off of sex stuff and turned this into a depressing economics lecture.
Look,
You should
it's
totally move
shitty
out.
foreplay in the Holocaust. Okay, that's what the people
Shitty
came for.
foreplay. And the Holocaust is all I know.
I know. I guess,
Um
yeah, the foreplay in the Holocaust must have been real brief, right? Like, there wasn't any extended.
I
That must.
mean, you'd think that after all that forced labor, you're just tired.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, look, just give me two pumps, get it over with.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's weird to be like back at home after you're out, and it's frustrating. And
It's the first time I've been out in because I don't go into that story enough. I think on air, like what brought me back. Because I guess I will give you. You know what? You'll get a chunk of my life story, Molly.
ooh,
I was like standard kid, very achievement oriented because I knew that would please my parents. My dad was an immigrant. And my mom was just like this academic type, also that chilled the child, that's the singular of that word, the child of immigrants herself. And so, like, you know, they identified that I was pretty smart and I achieved a bunch, and they were like, well, keep doing more of it. And I was like, yes, sir, mom and dad, sir. And my dad died when I was 20, and I dropped out of college and just took over his one-man locksmith show. And because I was like, you know, hey, mom, should I finish college, or do I need to like drop out to take over the job that I think kept us off the streets? And she was just like, because she was in shock for like a year or two.
Yeah.
Not very useful. Stupid morning bitch. Okay.
What a cunt.
Yeah, really. What a cuntarooski. And I, you know, after that, like my arc was kind of normal. Like I eventually finished college. I get like a boring ass job that I do, you know, as my main gig. I do the lock thing on the side. I move out for several years, and then I try to get into radio of all things, which kind of pays shit, has weird hours, and like a friend is like, you should just move home in the meantime. You're going to move away soon enough for a radio gig. You know, fuck it, save your money. And of course, this thing called the internet is invented in 2008 and does bad things to radio's advertising budget. And I guess coming back home and not having to pay that rent and worry about money like 24/7, like I just kind of ran with it for a long, because I had been since age 20, like just shitting bullets about money, like fucking money nightmares most days of the week. Like they had to give me medicine for acid reflux.
Aww.
Like I think I was ultimately on an asthma inhaler despite not having asthma, because I was having such bad acid reflux, worrying that I'd like lose my apartment, my car, et cetera, et cetera. So I think coming back home, I was like, yeah. And oh, and by the way, I had gotten in shape when I moved out and had something of a sex life. I came home and immediately like pulled the fucking ripcord on the parachute of my paunch. Like, I think I went from a very muscular 200 to like a flabby 240 within, I'm not exaggerating, maybe 2 years tops.
Wow.
Like, it was impressive. Like, I just did not give a shit. And that is kind of like how I conducted myself through a lot of my 30s. Most of my 30s, I was just like, fuck it. I don't want to worry about adulthood. Like, I was forced into it too quickly, and I guess we didn't agree.
Right.
And this was the way that I could kind of like not worry about money, by just like putting life on hold in general. But at a certain point, it's like, no, life is cool. You know, like it's more positive than negative, at least.
It kind of feels like you were pushed between the two extremes, where it's like, you know, you assumed the daddy head of the household position far too early, like had to assume all the responsibility to the point where you're like chugging Pepto-Bismol.
Literally like him. He used to eat Malox, this weird like secondary brand of antacid. He would eat Malox till he had kidney stones 3-4 times a year, because this shit was pure calcium, and he was just eating them like breath mints.
There's just like no winning in that situation. And then you careen the other way to just like needing complete decompression to the point where like your insides became your outsides.
I was gaped and my colon fell out.
Something. I don't know. And I also feel like you know, socially, you know, you can still look at someone like me and be like, oh, what a big loser, she lives with her mother. But I also feel like the gender stereotype sort of like, you know, work in my favor in that sense, where it's like, if you're a guy and you live with your parents or in your mother's house and you're of a certain age, it's like, oh, he lives with his mom. He's
the funny thing was, so I like couldn't conceive of myself as like bangable at all in that situation. And to be fair, I was a tub of guts, so I probably didn't deserve any. But you would be amazed how much you can rock like the mom circuit. like moms with kids in their like, oh, early teens, late whatever you call it, preteens, 8-10-year-olds, they're just like, oh my god, you're home taking care of your mother, that's so. And like they would be more than up for like a quick swing by and nail them. Now again, I didn't, because I hated how I looked, but I would enjoy getting sent photos to whack up to in my room alone.
You just close your eyes and pretend you're someone else.
Yeah.
What's the problem? You just imagination cuck yourself and like you get through it.
I'm the only person during sex who has to fantasize that I'm different.
I mean, that's what us former fat kids have to do, right? Because we can't perceive ourselves as sexy.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I
You have to go cuck yourself.
I am taking it to such extremes in terms of like working out and my grooming and shit. Like I've been posting nonstop on Instagram lately because people are like, "Oh, you look really good." I don't even like. I can't conceive of that person as me. Like I'm just like, who the fuck is this? He's getting good feedback, like it's so
Look at
fucking
him, he's
weird.
smiling. Who does this guy think he is?
Exactly. It's like, who's this bearded piece of crinkle-eyed shit? Like, yeah, I can't. Like, I see these photos and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not me. That person looks normal. Like he might actually have something going in life. Yeah. Oh,
Must be
so
nice.
I forgot you were a lard bag back in the day as well.
I wasn't like huge, but I was chubby.
Really?
I was
Okay.
like, I was one of those girls who like, I just always had a tummy. Remember the little girl, oh, I forget the actress's name, but in Little Miss Sunshine, Olive. And it's
Yeah.
like, she's not fat, but she's got like a little tummy and she's
Is it like
geeky. And
Abigail
it's like,
Breslin?
Abigail Breslin. Thank
Why do I
you.
know that? Like I just landed on
Major,
a watch list.
yeah, little Abigail Breslin
Yeah.
energy. Just like, oh, maybe she'll be something one day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
But for the
but
moment,
you know,
she's such a tubby, unsexy 10-year-old.
a chubby, freckled, Mr. Nanny t-shirt wearing 10-year-old. But like, yeah, it's the perception is different, male to female, I think. And also like, yeah, I mean the mom circuit makes a lot of sense because it's like, they have a couple kids, so it's like, well, if you're gonna concede to fuck me with me having kids, I'll concede to fuck you living, it's like trading cards, but you're
Yeah.
trading your baggage.
Yeah.
I'll trade you my kids and you trade me your mom and your Ken
Yeah.
Griffey Jr. and blah blah
Pikachu for a
blah.
Kamazard, yeah.
Yeah. um It works. I mean, again, there's someone out there for everybody.
I,
Also like my mom, she owned this place for a long time, ever since I was like 13, and then spent a long
was
time
it, I
renovating
mean,
it.
I know it's like, it's crazy unaffordable now, but you're saying she acquired it like, you're 2000-ish or something?
No, like 1998.
Oh God! So that was.
And
Hey,
yeah,
wait! Fuck you! I said 2000, and you went no, 98. That's within 24 goddamn months.
Entirely different era.
Yeah.
You're talking about the difference between Everclear and Britney Spears. I maintain those 2 years make a huge difference in the acquiring of this property somehow.
Don't you love how the years from your youth you can parse down to the month, and then like the music of the last 15 years might as well have been what came out last week. You're like,
Right.
whatever.
It's so, yeah, I mean, yeah, 2013 to right now, like all the same year. But
Yeah.
1998 to 2000, like a century has gone by. So yeah, she's had this place for a while. And then I was living on my own for a minute, and I was working and doing the thing that you're doing of like stowing money in an envelope and setting it aside and paying my rent and working shit jobs that would give me nightmares about fucking up on the job.
Oh God, yeah.
And so then finally, when this building had the certificate of occupancy, and my mother wasn't even here, she was in LA. So I was like, fuck yes, I'll move in. There's no roaches and I don't have to worry about rent. And yeah, that's fine. And then for a few years, I was by myself in this like 5-story building, which
Holy
is
shit,
kind of creepy. Like uber privileged, but also like a little weird. And also like when you invite people over and you have to be like, I'm not a serial killer, I swear. Like,
Is that the first thought even in New York though? Like
I don't know.
yeah.
I just feel like I give off serial killer vibes for some reason.
It's the tummy.
It's the tummy. I'm so apologetic, and it's because of the tummy and the serial killer
This
vibe.
isn't from human flesh, I promise.
but then after when I got pregnant, that's when my mom was like, no, I'm here, and my grandma's here, and now it's like major Grey Gardens energy.
I know.
Um,
And the funny thing is, you don't have to tell me this. They do that, and you're like, you had to viscerally be like, get the fuck out of my house.
no, not at all. It was
Oh,
sort of
really?
like,
Okay.
it's a bittersweet thing because it's like, yay, I'm not completely alone. And then it was like, oh, fuck, like, yeah, how do you feel yourself when you live in your mother's house and your mother's there? Like, it's fucking impossible. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
you almost have to like fuck with defiance, where it's like, back in the teenage days, where it's like kind of like the same with the smoking, where it's like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. Fuck you, mom. And it's like, you're 36.
Yeah.
Just fuck your husband and smoke a cigarette. Like, no one gives a shit.
Oh, God.
Be as loud as you want. They know you do it. You have 2 kids.
Yeah. We're immaculately conceived. Yeah.
But I do want to leave. I really want to leave, and I could afford to leave. And now it's the added layer of guilt of like, it's the codependency, but also like the mother guilt of like, you'll take the kids and what, I won't have anything to live for. And then my grandma being like, oh, well, then I may as well just die. And it's like, oh, so you're trying to tell me you don't want me to leave?
How old is grandma? Because I want to know
She's
what.
90.
Oh, God, that's a real threat. I think at that age, you literally can just like squint real hard and it happens.
Well, at first I was like, maybe I'll just wait until she dies. And then I was like, my great aunt Sarah lived to be 105. Like, these bitches do not die.
Oh, my God. That's
My mother's
crazy.
gonna
What?
bury me. She's going to bury me, and then she'll be
Well,
like, "Well, she smoked."
where are you thinking of moving? I didn't know you wanted to escape the Heckerling compound.
At first, we actually came really close to getting an apartment that was not so far away, and
Okay.
it was income restricted, which we qualified for.
Hmm.
But then the co-op board was being really, really shady, and we backed out of it because I didn't want to I didn't want to get involved in a whole thing where it was going to be dealing with a co-op that was unresponsive. And you know how co-op situations are. And that's
See,
the thing too.
that's a
It's sort of
weird.
like, let's compare living at home
Okay.
to being married, and being out on your own is like being back in the dating pool, because it's like you resent the situation that you're stuck in even though it's comfortable, and you miss the freedom of the other thing, and then once you're back in the other thing you're like, oh my god, this is shit and these people are shady, and I like,
Yeah, and I
it's like
miss
the
my
Wild
yeah.
West a little bit. It's like you're like, oh no, I'm back out there and this fucking sucks.
No, I mean
um
it's honestly it's funny you bring up the dating thing. We can talk about it in a second. I've been plowing through this book called Attached,
mm-hmm.
and it's about like the 3 attachment styles that I guess like they originally figured out for children. But like there's the anxious attachment, secure attachment, and then avoidant attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 doctors like apply it to dating styles and like your adult relationships, and it's fucking mind-blowing. But we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
Back to
No,
the
let's get to it now.
Oh, okay, yeah, shit, yeah.
Well, I
Well,
mean, I'm sorry. What did you want to wrap up
no,
on the other
I
thing
just
with?
it's funny you mentioned the co-op thing, because that isn't so prevalent here. Like in the DC area, I think you just refer to it as a condo, in essence,
Mm-hmm.
is an apartment you can purchase
Right.
that has the condo board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is
Similar.
most of the check marks, yeah, of a co-op
Right.
situation. And then apartment is just something you rent,
Yeah.
and they're going to like fuck you in the ass
Yes.
every 12 months and be like, it's going up 20%. Can you afford this?
My friend Amanda, yeah, we were just talking about this last night because they're raising her rent, and she was like, do I stay? Do I go? Like, at a certain point, the rent hikes are going to affect my quality of life. Jason had a landlord once who like picked him up by the throat and like slammed him across a wall. Like, people are nuts.
Was this Darth Vader?
No, probably just some big Armenian guy in Brooklyn.
Darth
So
Vaderian?
similar, but like not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's nuts out here, and then again, you think of leaving, and then it's like, well, then I get a car and car insurance payments, and is it a wash? And I don't know.
I mean, I can tell you right now, like a newish car is between 3 and 4 a month, and your insurance is going to be about $100 a month. So, I mean, depending where you live, obviously, like that's for me.
Yeah. Oh, but let's get on to the nice traumatizing attachment styles, because I'm pretty sure I qualify for all three and have thoroughly fucked my dating life consistently with these different attachment styles, abandonment issue bullshit things.
It's very funny to see, yeah, because this book's kind of central thesis is that they don't explore it as like a spectrum. Which a friend of mine, Claire, who has read it, she was like, I think people kind of, and I read it too, and I'm like, yeah, I see tendencies of a couple things here, but in essence, most of the secure people on Earth, and this is going to be very disheartening, are out of the dating pool sooner than later.
Right.
Because they meet each other, and they're just like, yeah, this is good, let's move forward in life. And they get married and have kids, and that's it. And that leaves the avoidant people who have big time intimacy issues and are, if you've ever heard of someone who's like, oh, I have this like perfect woman and she just hasn't come along yet, and they need to have qualifiers XYZ, this and they tend to like romanticize a past ex. They're like, oh, that one was the one that got away. Shit, I fucked up there. But when they were with that person,
they were a total piece of shit to that person.
Yeah, exactly. Those are real avoidant tendencies. Anxious are the people that need like constant reassurance, where it's just like,
hi.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, I didn't get a text. Like literally the episode we recorded last week might as well have been 90 minutes of me saying, this is how I'm anxiously attached to the person in question. They aren't texting me back enough and I want to kill myself.
Right. Yeah. I'm the same way, where it's like, I haven't heard from you. Like, you hate me. Do you hate me? Why do you hate me?
Yeah. And the problem is that anxious people can pair up with a secure person fairly decently, and they'll mold each other out. Like the secure person will read the anxious person's clues, and it works out in the end. In fact, the bond is, according to the authors, as good as like two secure people paired up. And same thing with an avoidant person and a secure person. Just a secure person fucking sands off the rough edges.
I think these secure people don't exist.
Yeah.
I think you're just making, I mean, the rest of it sounds okay, but
I think there's one in Oklahoma, and we all blew our chance with them.
There's one in Oklahoma, and their obituary is posted on Google.
It's old Jebediah Heckerling. And the problem is the avoidance, despite being something like a quarter of the population, are way overrepresented in the dating pool, because guess what? They're getting single all the fucking time.
Right.
And then the anxious people pair up with them, and it's just like, oil and water. Right. Like the anxious person's consistently like, hey, reassure me, reassure me, reassure me. And the avoidant's like, no, I barely want to be in this.
Right, but it's like, well, then at least have the decency to tell me to fuck off. But I think it flatters their ego to have someone want their reassurance.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, the avoidant is the person who wants to be like, you know what? Fuck this, I'm leaving. But they secretly want the person to be like, no, come back. We can't do it without you.
It's a form of currency.
Yeah.
And these people aren't shit either. That's the thing too. It's like the aloof woman, where you're like, oh, she's so mysterious and aloof, and it's like she's probably just boring as fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is her trick.
Yeah, it's a trick.
Yeah, once you open the present, I'm not saying it's dog shit inside, but it's, like a VHS copy of Arthur 2 on the Rocks. Yeah, it is dog shit, actually. And, what's so funny with me, though, is, like, the whole intimacy issues and the way I've set myself up for failure throughout the years. Like, I've done enough therapy where I think I've grown more secure, but I am, on the surface, very anxious. Like,
no
I enjoy the nonstop bantering, the nonstop reassurance. Like, I know that, on multiple occasions, after class, an improv class or an improv show where there's like one thing I'm stewing over.
When you need reassurance the most.
Yeah, exactly. And like, my troop mates or classmates or whatever, they're like, wait, are you really focusing on that? Like, you're extremely funny, right? I'm like, just fucking say it. Like, I'm like, just let me hear it, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've said those things without really knowing what I was saying. Like, I would just unironically be like, I'm a bottomless hole for this, but like, do your best to fill it.
You know what? I'm the same way, but I also have the fun of like the added layer of parental distrust because of all the lies. So it's like even when the person finally turns around and gives me the reassurance, like, oh, I love you, you're great, or blah blah blah, I'm like, you're lying.
Yeah. This is all a cover story. And one of these days we're doing a full
love me.
We have to do a full episode about what you're talking about because it deserves its own full several episodes. Let's be real.
There's no winning.
Yeah. Mollie's childhood and the parental deception layers. I got nothing. When it comes to straight parents lying, I got nothing compared to what Mollie brings to the table. If you're bored and you want to spoil the future episode, just Google Mollie Heckerling. Have some fun with it.
I mean, it does add some spice to your adult dating life, where it's just like, are you my dad? No.
I was literally gonna say that. I was like, that might be too disrespectful. Oh, shit.
Someday I'll find him.
Well, someday we'll all find him. Just like we'll all meet my dad someday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Good times.
Yeah. Yeah. But
well, you're out there.
I'm trying.
Lucky you.
I am trying. I absolutely, after having my taste of having this place, I'm like, look, I want to do that. I want to move forward with hosting people and maybe getting romantic people. I don't fucking know, but that would be a nice thing to do as well.
I want to get a cheese plate from Pottery Barn. I want to be like a real adult.
Look, I want to speak charcuterie as a mother tongue. Yes. It's funny though, because despite all that anxiety, where I'm not anxious attachment style, and this could be that I have honestly, I don't know if you engage in this, and you've been with Jason for a while, so I hope this isn't the case, but like you kind of like self-selected partners for, or you selected partners for self-sabotage, where like it was just so clearly not right, and then a part of your like brain is rebelling against that, and it's so you aren't getting completely invested in things. And that's like, once I feel someone's like completely on board, I can sway avoidant. But I will, again, like freely admit, I don't know if I've ever really in 40 years entered into a partnership where like even on the surface things looked all that okay. Like, I am the king of like, oh, he met this woman online, and she lives 8 states away type shit. Like, that was a lot of my 20s. And, in my 30s, it's like, so she smokes weed 10 times a day, does she? And is off her bipolar meds. Do go on, like.
I mean, the weed probably helps with being off her bipolar meds.
It did.
I'm trying to be non-judgmental of this hypothetical person that I really relate to for some reason.
I mean, she lived at her mom's as well, so I didn't feel judged about being at home because she was at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough.
Yeah.
Fascinating
read.
From my experience, it sucks because, I feel like I don't have good judgment. I feel like I always seek the affection of people who don't treat me well because I feel like that's what I deserve. Yeah. And a lot of my choices in life have been driven by low self-esteem, where it's like, well, this is as good as I can get, or this is what I deserve, or like if I, the OCD thing kicks in sometimes too, where it's like, well, if I do this and I think this thing is going to make me happy, then maybe something horrible will happen. Um, I may have mental disorders that are, I don't want to say they're going unaddressed because I know they're there.
Well, have you ever done anything for the OCD? Like, weirdly enough, I battled that for a couple years as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, like my mom is horrible OCD to this day, but I
Mm,
had it like kind of at the onset of puberty. I was a massive hand washer,
mm.
like to the point I was jerking it with Lysol so I wouldn't
Oh
give
my
myself
God.
AIDS. Like, I wish I were kidding.
Um,
Uh,
it's okay. I've wiped with Purell before. We've all done things we're not proud of.
yeah.
Um, for me, it was less of a cleanliness thing and more of a magical thinking thing, which was
Hmm.
only a term I sort of like learned a few years ago, where it's like you think that if you do X, then Y, even though the two are completely unrelated. And this was something that my mom really has. I don't even know if she's ever addressed it. She's very superstitious. She was dating a musician named Reeves Nevo when she was about to make fast. She was on the cusp of making Fast Times when she figures, fuck it, I'll just marry this guy because I got to advance my life somehow.
Yeah.
And then they got the green light for Fast Times, and then I think she knew that she didn't really love him, and then but in her mind she said that she thought that if she didn't marry him, then they
Hmm.
wouldn't make Fast Times. And
Wow.
impossible to say whether or not she's right because she married him and they did. But then, obviously they got divorced. Um,
I love Fast Time, so I'm glad she did that.
but I was like,
But
did you even love him? And she was like, no. She
wow, how old was she for that one?
must have been like 25.
Ah, shit. Yeah, God. I mean, I can excuse that at that age. You're fucking nuts until you're like, I don't know. When do you think officially you're like adult brain or close to it?
Your adult brain, your frontal cortex isn't even fully developed until you're 25.
Yeah.
And not
Okay.
to mention hormones, which just completely mind fuck you in every conceivable way.
So she might have been adult for like 4 weeks.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Still making, but then again, like, I feel like those decisions just sort of carried through the, like, you know, the magical thinking, the OCD thing. I don't know. She keeps garbage in the refrigerator sometimes. It's just like, it's weird. It's
God. I
quirky.
feel like we have the same mom, except mine didn't direct great comedies. Like she's just a weirdo that drilled me on analogy tests.
I feel like we sort of had like the opposite circumstances where it's like your parents were overachievers, but they had these like really stable career choices where it's like my mom was an overachiever who was defying her accountant father who said that she had to be a secretary or she'd never amount to anything. But then the problem with that is that she achieves her dreams, turns around and has a kid and says like just follow your dreams, and it's like that doesn't always work, and also I'm an idiot, and like they say that Hollywood is the only place where you could die of encouragement, but my family is like that too. So it's like maybe she should have encouraged me less. um like,
Or in like more practical ways, maybe.
yeah,
Like
because it's like whenever you sort of ask her for advice, it's sort of like, I don't know, yeah, whatever you want.
I
And
always I
you
always
know
wonder that like the people who quote unquote like made it and it
mm-hmm.
worked out for them. And it's just like you do realize it doesn't for most of us, right? And like what you experience as a child, like your mom is like, I don't know, marry a fucking weird name musician and then just direct like a beloved comedy.
Well,
Like
I mean,
what's so fucking hard here?
she's at least like aware that luck is a factor,
Hmm.
and that you know that things are different now too, just like structurally with how much content there is and how the money's distributed and blah blah blah.
I
um
almost miss her era, honestly, like where you had to put in reps and really show a proficiency and there was like some amount of gatekeeping because it's like now you're just competing with people like filming themselves literally on the toilet. And like we can all do this and upload it to YouTube and people are like, yes, this is the same thing as CNN.
I
And
mean, it was a bidet, it wasn't a toilet.
I'm sorry.
I do art, okay.
I didn't even know that term. I just called them horseshoe water fountains until last week,
Yeah.
okay?
I was squatting. I wasn't sitting. There was effort. No, yeah, it's like the Wild West, and everyone's just sort of like, I don't know, creatively like, I have all this passion. Oh fuck, why? Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
we've 180'd really hard. Where I feel like back in the day, it was look, you have to have just a ton of proficiency, and you need to have played the game, and I guess some cream would rise to the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's this hard 180 where everyone's just like, oh, I want to do this thing, I'm doing it, and there's literally millions of times the volume of content, and now it just kind of gets lost. And it's funny, I still don't think we really have like a great means of new proficient people getting found. Maybe it's
Um,
just me trying to shield my ego here, but like so many huge podcasts, it's either the topic itself is something that people will glom onto, like some sort of, true crime stuff,
hmm.
or it's Bill Burr, it's Joe Rogan. These aren't exactly like unknowns making themselves known via podcast. My God, I'm just describing me. Like it's odd to me in that sense, and it makes perfect sense that again the market's flooded beyond belief, and so people are going to go for known quantities. But I I don't know, in a weird way, it's almost like advancement is that much more difficult these days, and you've encountered that. Fuck.
um, it
You're like, no, I haven't.
I'm
You
sorry.
talentless
My
hack.
gears were grinding for a second because there are a lot of wheels turning and they're not lubricated. So
I like all the
I
machine
think
metaphors. You
it's
got any more in there?
there's I feel like this is actually sort of a symptom. I mean, this might sound like old timey of me, um, of maybe the fact that like we're more connected than we ever have been, and we're all able to create this content which is amazing and have all these conversations, but maybe in a way all of our voices are more or less conforming to each other's because we're online all the time and we're hearing everyone else's jokes and everyone else's content and we're trying to find a thing that we think everyone will like or will relate to, so we're changing ourselves and our behavior a little bit and maybe developing less authentic voices because it's coming less from a quiet and personal space and more from just this is what you all want, right? This is the thing, this is what I'm this is what's hot and how everyone's talking. And I don't know, it's this isn't going to be a hilarious story. It's one of the parables of Kierkegaard.
I don't know. He was a real knee
Yeah,
slapper.
I mean,
That's sickness unto death.
yeah, the walking backwards bit killed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a story called The Lonely Horse, and it's about this horse that like went to a horse meeting, thinking
Like for alcoholic horses?
yeah, thinking that he'd connect to his fellow horses in a way, or that they would mention his plight at the meeting and he would feel seen and heard. And they only spoke of the plight of all horses, and while he left, and he felt like he understood the plight of all horses more, but understood less about himself. And he felt as though he had been excluded, even though he too was present.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's a story about a horse who's sad because he went to a meeting. But
Yeah, that's all I got from that.
but like in a way, like maybe being in the soup, you said the cream always rises to the top. It's like maybe we all feel like we're drowning in cream a little bit. And we feel like we're trying to connect more to other people, and in the midst of doing that, we're actually understanding less and less about ourselves. And how can you make anything that's gonna really hit or be authentic or stand out amongst everything else if you don't understand yourself?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I will say that I have tried to do various online things for well over a decade at this point, be it writing the podcast, some dabbling in videos. And by far the most I have been fulfilled in terms of like some deeper spiritual need is just like the community that I have found doing local comedy, be it, stand up or improv, mostly improv,
Mm-hmm.
but just seeing the same faces, making each other laugh. Like, there's something so much more, I like, there's a deeper bond forged through that, and it makes me not a sad horse. Whereas,
Yeah.
yeah, it's completely, I guess it's not speaking to this kind of like national or even international, like, this is all what you want to hear. It's like, no, this is like what works in my little fucking burg, my little area. But I guess that's a part of what I'm saying. I don't know. Fuck.
No,
No,
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just
it makes
thinking of this
sense.
goddamn sad horse. It ruined. He
This,
didn't.
you didn't like the sad horse story. Okay.
He didn't do
I'll
anything to
strike that from
anyone.
the set. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just, it feels weird. It's like, because my mom is the first person to acknowledge that, like, she's like, what I did, I don't know if I could have done it today. So at least that's nice, because there are some successful people who have that real, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality, even though the whole
Yes.
bootstraps analogy was supposed to be an ironic one.
Yeah, about how it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's sort
Yeah.
of like when Bloomberg, like, posted that article about, like, why child labor isn't so bad. And it's like, Jonathan Swift was like a satirist, right? Like,
Yeah, he wasn't making an actual case for this shit.
right.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I wasn't saying this to impugn Molly. Trust me, no, she seems, yeah,
How dare
very,
you impugn?
yes, very, very wise.
She is a humble former barmaid, and you will treat her with some respect.
uh, yeah, I don't, it's just odd. I feel how we are all being forced to kind of be our own everything. We are our own marketing department. We are our own creatives, and we are casting directors. If you want to get anything done,
Mm-hmm.
and I
I'm
think
my own fluffer, my own caterer, my own gaffer. No,
yeah,
I'm not my own gaffer.
no,
You gotta
I
get a gaffer.
look, I definitely do catering and fluffing. It's why my genitals have tasted like salami for the past 12 years.
It's a charcuterie platter.
Yeah, look, it's nitrates and
How do you
cheddar.
pronounce it?
Charcuterie. I believe. God, I'm saying that from such a position of authority. I believe it's that, because I was debating whether or not to procure some when I was hosting my friends a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really?
And the overall agreement was not needed, and instead I bought a 50 count of pizza rolls and
Oh,
baked those. And you know what? Just as big a hit. Just as
nice.
big a hit.
You're like, look, they're both pepperoni, basically.
I mean, they really are. Come on. I'm saving you the time of
Yeah.
taking the cheese and wrapping it around the meat and then putting it on the cracker. All three. And it's
Yeah.
hot.
You didn't really need those fucking Greek olives anyway. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And I'm actually throttling you from being quite the fat lard you want to be, because they're all molten hot, and you're gonna pop one in your mouth and do that kind of thing, and it'll pace you.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like when they put the restrictor plates on in NASCAR. You can only go at a certain speed.
Right. Yeah. Clockwork Orange.
Exactly.
Pizza roll.
You can only get so close to the tits before you shudder.
Yeah. Oh, yay, diversion therapy. So maybe that would be a good one for, emotionally or attached, anxious people, is aversion
Pizza rolls.
therapy. Pizza rolls and aversion therapy. Anytime someone avoids you, something adverse happens to you. If you notice.
That was the therapy I gave myself. Bad things happened, and I eat crap food, and it resulted in me cracking 270 at one point. So yeah.
Okay, so it worked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and fewer people wanted to be around me, and yeah, it solved itself. Honestly,
See, you should write a book.
The Fat Ass Files.
Yeah.
What you got cooking for the rest of the Christmas and all that stuff? I know we'll record again, fingers crossed, before New Year's, but like, what are you guys up to for Christmas?
Well, I'm trying to compensate for a global pandemic by
Hmm.
cooking Christmas dinner for my Shiksa husband and half Shiksa daughters.
There you go.
Um, so I'm gonna make a pot roast and some vegetables, and I got us a little tree, and we're doing it very small this year.
Nice.
Um, so it'll be good. And, I'll try to get my mother to eat something and she won't eat anything. And my grandma will, I don't know, say something, I'm sure.
Your grandma will just threaten to die if something goes wrong. She's like, "You want me to do it? Because I'll do it."
She'll do the airing of grievances, is what she's going to do.
Festivus
She's going to
style.
just
Yeah.
sit there and go, "You didn't marry well. I don't know. I don't like this. I'm worried." Like, blah, blah, blah. What do you want to do that for? It doesn't really matter what you say to her. It's just the same grab bag of responses.
Oh God. You know what? It's so I haven't thought of my grandma in like forever because I had one
Mm-hmm.
that I knew because my dad's parents were in the old country, and I think his dad was dead. I think both the grandpas were dead
Okay.
by the time I came along. I know my mom's dad was. Why am I laughing as I say
I'm
this? My
sorry.
mom's dad was murdered a couple of years before I was born, and my dad's dad, I think, just croaked of old age.
Did you say murdered?
He was murdered, yeah,
By who?
like a murderer.
Oh, that clears it up.
Yeah. I don't know. He was mugged in downtown Frederick, Maryland. I forget the guy's name, but he was mugged and he kind of recovered from his injuries, but ultimately had some sort of, it was a horrible death, ultimately had some sort of intestinal gangrene to the point that like his intestines just kind of like melted out like fucking, Return of the Living Dead trioxin
Ah,
style. Yeah, like um and just kind of it all festered in there and then he just died.
sounds like the virus from what's that? What's that movie where Rose McGowan had the machine gun leg?
Oh shit. Yes.
Planet Terror or
Planet.
something
Yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
stupid. Oh,
The
I'm
other one
sorry about
was
your
yeah.
grandfather's gangrenous
Yeah.
intestines.
And that's what Christmas means to me. No, but the one grandma I had left, like
Mhm.
she just my mom has just aged into her, minus the nonstop consumption of Pepsi. My grandma was very Pepsi loyal and
No.
drank it nonstop, and then just shopped on QVC 24/7.
Aw.
And actually would cook Greek food as well. And my mom doesn't do that either. So my mom has picked up the worst of the three traits that
Aw.
characterize my grandma. Yeah.
Um, my mom is like doing everything she can do to not turn into my grandma, so she's turning into my grandpa. And, and
One
my
way to
uncle
do
is
it.
turning into my grandma, which is like very, I mean, I don't want to say it was kind of unexpected. I don't know. Um, and my grandpa was like always angry. Like he was just one of those guys where it's like, if he would just, the most dumbass shit is the shit that he and my grandma would scream at each other about, like George Costanza's parents.
Mm-hmm.
um but he, like, my grandma was afraid of everything and my grandpa hated everything, so my mom used to call them fear and loathing. um and then when he died, it was like this huge revelation for my grandmother that, oh, I don't have to hate everyone he hated. I can hate whoever I want.
I like that she didn't go in the love direction. It's
Yeah.
like, I can choose my own hatred. Thank you
We're
very much.
Heckerlings. We hate. Um, and we hate less, but we don't love. Um, but what she did do was she like plastered the wall next to her breakfast table with all the pictures of actors that she has crushes on. So it's like Javier Bardem and Benedict Cumberbatch. Like she totally turned back into the like teenage
I was
girl
gonna
with
say, what is
like,
this, Tiger Beat? Like,
yeah, exactly. Um, so that was fun for her. I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
Wait,
yeah,
so that's Gam Gam Heckerling, or that's your mom is doing
that's
the.
that's no, that's grandma.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So
My
what
my
is?
relatives live forever. When you're like, all my grandparents are dead, and it's like,
Oh
my
yeah.
relatives don't fucking die. Um, they just make you wish that you were.
It's a good,
Um,
yeah, they suck the life force out of you. It sounds like some sort of reverse cocoon.
it's weird because it's like you want to say it's like a feedback loop where it like feeds on itself but also drains itself at the same time. It's very confusing from an engineering standpoint.
You remember that meme with all the guys in a circle and they each had their cock in the ass of the guy in front of them? It's that.
It's an emotional human centipede.
Oh my god. Oh shit. Yeah.
Jason's a lucky man.
He is, yeah. He is the lucky Pierre, if you will.
Anyway, what are your plans for Christmas?
Oh, God, let me see. We've taken the cooking out of my mom's hands for both Christmas and Thanksgiving for a while now. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting the Bob Evans like heat and eat
Mm-hmm.
thing. I might have asked for like a Target gift card because I was like, well, shit, I can use that, you know? And
Someone's got a high opinion of himself.
yeah, I mean, like,
How
I
good were
have.
you this year?
Look, I need to buy my Astroglide and my fashions in my same place. Uh, I'll probably sit around with the fam because of the whole quarantine thing, man. Like with the Omicron, I mean, it was like that. It so turned on a dime in the past like 72 hours around here.
I know.
Like Friday night, I had my little improv show
Mm-hmm.
with the group of my classmates and stuff. It was our first kind of like paid. Well, the theater got paid, not us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this lovely button on
Yeah.
2021. You know, we all like were like cuddled up and drinking, and everyone's just like, you know, it's like we're all this big like extended family of misfits
All
and
just
shit.
looking into each other's eyes and giving each other back rubs.
Yeah, giving each other COVID apparently. Like,
Doing trust falls.
uh, yeah, and we were trying to reenact the whole, you know, just put your cock in the ass of the guy in front of you circle thing. Some of us did their best with their.
With what God has given them.
Yeah, but you know, there it was. It was a cock penetrating me from behind in spirit. Okay, and yeah, it was so fun. And then I had what was supposed to be a show, actually a twofer with Michael Johnson, whom you maybe have done an episode with before, but he's done a lot of co-hosting on the show, and he'll be back sooner than later.
Okay.
And my old improv teacher, Sean Westfall, like
Mm.
we were supposed to do a show, ironically, like kind of out toward where my mom lives. I'm like, okay, that's convenient as hell. Let's do it. And in that, like 6 days. So last Friday to this Thursday, it's like, okay, I appear symptomatic, so I would kind of feel like an asshole performing with these people
Mm.
because, like, literally, when you and I finish this episode, I'm driving to take a COVID test,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot tell you how many people from my class that I actually skipped this Tuesday because I wasn't feeling hot are
Yeah.
now emailing us to say they have COVID, but my teacher
Oh.
did. The teacher of
Oh.
the class has COVID.
Oh.
Literally, the whole reason, not the entire class has COVID from that, by the way, DC put in a mask mandate 6 a.m. that day, and 7 p.m. that day was that class. And had it
Jeez.
not been for that fucking mask mandate, they would all have goddamn COVID right now.
Yeah. This is why
And
masks are good and people are assholes when they say they don't do anything.
yeah, oh yeah, and you gotta be already be vaxxed up to take that fucking class, but
Yeah.
it doesn't, yeah, like apparently you're still passing it around like a fucking hotcake. And also, let's be real, like when you're around other vax people and shit, then you're like, yeah, we're invincible, you know? Like,
Right. Everyone takes their masks off and they're like,
yeah,
it's
you're like,
okay, I'm vaccinated. And like, you know,
yeah, exactly.
uh,
So we're
that's what you do.
we're full of shit, all of
Yeah.
us to some degree.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so long story short, I didn't have to like have a eternal internal debate going on because the show got canceled last night because half of the staff at the fucking bar tested positive. And they're like, oh cool, we just can't have it. So at least I had that really fun, nice show last weekend because yeah, it seems like I don't know, Molly, the more that this is all shutting down again, like the more clearly I hear the Animal Crossing music in my head. It's fucking, I'm going to some dark places, man.
Aw. well, don't go to the dark side completely. Just go to the grayish side with the perpetual drinking and smoking, and we'll muddle through somehow. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it sucks. I had a show that I did. What was it, like a week or so ago, before everything got really insane? I did a
Yes.
show, and I was supposed to do one on the 20th, and I backed out, and I think the booker was a little annoyed at me, because I probably like should have done it sooner. I gave him 24 hours
Oh,
notice.
yes. Where will a
Um,
booker ever find a stand-up in New York?
I know, right?
Fan
Yeah, it's not
self.
like the streets are littered with them or anything.
Yeah,
Um,
God. It's not like you're a
so,
fucking
but
surgeon who's
it's
like, you know what? Can't come into work tomorrow.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like this is like, every gig in New York is an unpaid gig, so it's like
Yeah,
I'm sorry
exactly.
that
So
I'm.
suck my dick at the end of the day.
Um,
Yeah.
no, I mean he's a nice guy, but it's just like yeah, I don't understand. If anyone's like still going out and doing shows right now, it's like maybe just pause it again. It sucks that we have to do this again. It fucking blows. We're all going crazy. We're all going fucking crazy, but at least we're doing it collectively as a species before it all just goes. So it's fine. Um, you know, I sometimes think like, what if the world was ending, like for real, or we, had some collective, um, cognizance of it, and then I
Yeah,
get
I was
I
gonna say, like, we're mostly there. Are you talking like
well,
asteroid in the sky, Bruce Willis in a shuttle level
I
ending,
don't
or
know. I mean, it's sort of like that episode of Rick and Morty where they go to all the planets that are about to be destroyed just to have like a big last fling. But the one thing that struck me was how annoying everyone's posts would be.
oh god.
That was just the one thing that like seemed to leap to mind at the forefront, was just like, man, people are going to be so annoying.
Look, I know this is happening to literally everyone else, but there's something unique about my trauma in this
No,
situation.
but it's gonna be like a lot of people are gonna be annoyingly celebratory and being like, "Oh, it's nice knowing you, humanity. I loved you all so much. Thank you to Heather for always holding my hair back and blah blah blah." And like just the long, lengthy posts, selfies, big like I'm dying my best life sort of shit that I hate.
Like if they get enough likes, somehow they'll be spared.
I don't know. Like maybe it's gonna make a, I'm guilty of this delusion that maybe if I do something, it'll leave a mark of my existence, even though it's all pointless. Like, and I know that's obnoxious. I'm not looking for any sort of like grandiose validation. Part of it is just me being compulsive and bored. But like, I get that everyone wants to exist. It just seems silly that like we all somehow have been duped into thinking that like our smudge on social media in a digital landscape is going to be the thing that like I don't know, saves us somehow. Thank goodness I'll leave my daughters.
Out of all the things we could be doing to leave a permanent mark, and we're just like
Right.
farting into the fartiest of winds
Yeah.
already.
Thank God NASA developed this technology so I could leave my daughters this legacy of shitty tweets.
Yeah.
Like now I have to write it into my will that someone has to delete my Twitter after I'm dead to spare me the embarrassment.
Delete the entire the Twitter
Yeah.
roll, and then they're just going through and they're like, what is follow Friday? Like
Yeah.
none of these links work. This sucks.
Like my mom didn't even know any of these people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give them all my passwords and tell them not to like look at my, delete everything, but don't look at it either. Like,
Yeah. God damn it. Yeah. Well, that's Christmas, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. So this is Christmas.
Cool. Well, you know what, Heckerling? I thank you for giving me the present of your presence, as it were.
Oh, please don't mention it.
Yeah.
You can't return it at this point. There are no refunds.
No, we're stuck. This is just the new partnership. It's
right.
we were gonna have on Eva too, by the way, to talk about motherhood. She's
Mm-hmm.
dying to talk about motherhood with
you.
you.
Really?
But she's like, I can kind of only do it late night right now. And I'm like, well, I got Molly booked, but you know what? I'll make it happen for you out of loyalty. You get that one recording with Heckerling, and then we're on to the next good thing.
Poor Eva. I get
Yeah.
it. We'll share war stories and, do a shot together over Zoom or something.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious because she's in recovery. So if you could get her to do that, I'd die laughing. Like if you were just a little push that put her over the edge.
If I was the push.
Yeah.
It was just like, she wasn't going to snap, and then she talked to me and then just murdered her whole family.
Like, yeah, she is tiny Zeus Lister on the prison boat in Dark Knight.
Oh my God.
And you and you are the one trying to push him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
I'll push a bitch.
You do it.
I do that.
Well, give my best to the whole family. Is Jason's Dungeons and Dragons thing that he so kindly invited me to still going on? Or...
It is still going on, and he's mad at. No, he's not mad at you.
The concentration that those men possess. I have nothing. When he explained that was going to be like 15 weeks long from like 8 p.m. till midnight via Zoom, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then like, I'm like, I did 1 week of it. And it was like, he was not kidding. Like, have you ever found anything you want to do for 4 hours? I can't even do like porn or Netflix for 4 hours, much less like something that demands rigorous concentration.
I can't even stay vertical for 4 hours.
Like, yeah, I have to beach myself like a whale.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how they do it either. But I mean, they seem like they're having fun.
They loved it.
You know,
they absolutely like by the 30-minute mark, I thought my eyes were going to explode as a defense mechanism. I like it's a different wiring. It's a completely different psychological wiring that I lack on even the most fundamental levels. But hey, good for them.
Right. I admire it.
Yeah.
I don't have it, but I admire it.
Oh, God. Well, we'll do this again next week, post Christmas, pre-New Year.
Yeah. We'll discuss our resolutions that will go unfollowed through or something.
Oh, God. I will say this. If I'm not out of here by, like, I don't know, St. Patrick's Day, mm-hmm. I'm setting a pretty, not too far in the future goal. Shut up, Roxy. You know what? I need you to put me down like your grandma threatens to every so often. Like, just do it. Because otherwise it's going to be this.
Just put you down and bury you with the cats.
Yeah, otherwise this is my life. Come on, Roxy. Speak up, damn it.
Well, I'll leave you to Roxy. Sounds like you guys have a hot night. I
have a lot of explaining to do why I just stranded her for the last 70 minutes.
And now you're leaving her again to go get a nose test and get your snuzzy jollies on.
Yeah. Yes, that fetish of ours. The Q-tip in the nostril snuzzing.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You're going to go snuzz with your improv trip. Anyway, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's your show too now, damn it. You don't have to thank me for shit other than sending the anchor link.
Awesome. Okay, enjoy your holiday.
You too, Heckerling. Bye.